Hey everyone, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to come and share their work with us. And this is a Friday just like any other, so let's do this fucking thing. First up tonight is TBC. Hey TBC. And I think tonight's your first time reading here, right?
Yes, sir. How's everybody doing, man? How is everything? How's it happening? Before
Not too
I
bad.
before
How
I
are you?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Before I get started reading the stuff that I put forward here for this, I just want to give a couple of shout outs to things. To some people. First of all, good friend Gahul, and Nobody in Cali, guys who introduced me to this magazine. I love this kind of shit. Like this is kind of like my milieu. So I really appreciate the fact that I've been in the orbit of people like that. And there's a site tvchan.mo. There's a literature board on there. I want to give a shout out to that as well. And then just everybody who's out there in the free world, man, doing their thing. So yeah, let's get it popping.
Awesome. The floor is yours. I put the two pieces you're going to be reading in the chat.
Cool. Then I will start with Desiderata. Alrighty. Game is to mud as Maine is to spud. Kirchhoff is to nonce as Paul is to Chaucer. Eth is to thorn as torn is to thorn, or cantor is to candor. Born is to score. Calathos lives by keist as dribble lives by swish. Knight lives by mare as affair lives by orendator. So lives by oso as Otto lives by toto. Voynich lives by gibberish as Hoydinus lives by palpal immanence. Space lives by cat as Bilbo lives by Balkhend delinquents. Tolkien is to Bolton as Martin is to Eruv. Deicide is to decide as suicide is to Suisses. Sluice is to choice as sleuth is to Choyuth. Konix is to phoenix as Techne is to Enix. Jesus died from protagons as Agonal dies from senescence. Turner dies from diarist as Park dies from chironomist. Ware dies from brook as Oak Orb dies from reified Wealaid. Prime dies from real as Haludix dies from fish Aryan runaway. Filthy dies from Ben as her I die from wit hen. Game as to maim is spud as to mud, is bath as to Jenkin as salt is to catkin, as the is to north, as bard is to worth, or Godel is as Goebbels, scorn to bore, as iterant is to interregno, for palimpsest read pentamento. I can just dive right into the other one, or all right, swag. Let me pull it up real quick. This one is called Moonwalk of Aeneas. Gate, latent state, pellucid scry of untried Hornbrook, Brooks rectoversal, versal verses, parent function surfaced, atavist versions and revisit VC, testative locked, estivated, dispatchee, Seiches rippling bewill, derelictions solos, admissions set to life, theed, hilt, deeth, theal, theed, the real, wreath, wraith, realt, reed, lath, luth, loth, lithe, keast, cost, coost, caste, coral as the corios, coital as caballos, laco-lithilian silo, to ponder, fire forth the fielding. Livelry, symmetry, simony, limerence, all passages so palimpsested, seeds unparsed, sediments unstartled, Theseuses unship sentenced, all set to sit in stone, all icons hollow so, so follow we not. Obol lobotomy, a face-to-face lithograph ace to just margin nicks crossing. For pop, read title track. For Sibyl, read preamble sac. For Difo, read omnibus. For Palin, read Eurus, totus. For Cerberus, read bolus sap. For Troy's weakness, read Roy G. Bivd. For Odysseus, read the obvious. For Maecenas, read sign and meast. For obstetrics, contingent on delivery's contumeliness. Home shears everywhere, bar standing where one's antecedency decency's diectic. Bleeded tecton, chasing back prowess, room. Telluric whom's amongst us, beach paracletes. Baraneic, rollin' the foie gras. Is soulless. Phobos left the sun. Baying merism, Anchi's ascete. Merits versa rector understudied, underplunge. Undire quorum, perinal florilegio, to sprout, in sum, encounter mun's bow burial.
Man, that was fucking awesome. I really dig what you're doing with your poems. I not only with these, but also with the ones that you submitted to Misery Tourism, which we'll be publishing soon. I love that you are willing to like play with, like, first of all, these poems are like incredibly playful, right? And you're willing to play with the language itself. Like you have a real understanding of the fact that poetry is just as much about language as it is about form and substance, right? And I am like in awe of your willingness to have these poems like function as poetry, sure, but also be a little bit of a cipher, also be like have a little bit of like linguistic play and like conlang shit in there, and also be like highly referential. And I really dug in the first one you read, like those references are so well suited to what you're doing. Like the reference to the Voynich manuscript, for example, is so like so perfectly suited to poetry that is like right on the cut, like is that has meaning, that has sense, but is like a budding nonsense, right? Like it's right on the cusp
Right.
there, just like with the Voynich manuscript. Like people still do not know if that's a legitimate cipher or if that
Right.
is nonsense, right?
Can
And
I can
like,
I can I
yeah,
talk or
absolutely. Yeah,
okay,
oh,
okay.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely,
The
definitely.
big
Yeah.
I want to say just one of I don't in the thing I don't enjoy
Mhm.
like in general just and I'm not this is not like a bad thing about anything or whatever, but like I don't like hiding my references, right? The first thing
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Paul Muldoon is like probably my favorite. He's probably one of the goats, right? Just
Right.
one of the guys who has massively influenced me. And that first poem is like the whole thing is kind of it's a reframing of one of his poems, errata, which is like really, really, I think really good. He kind of does a lot of the same stuff, right? He like he wants to modulate what he's saying from the past and also kind of pre-predict himself in the future a little, which is like, oh,
Yeah.
whoa, which is like just a, and it's such a great thing. And that poem was the first one was like designed as like it's just like following it up like Kirchhoff's Desideratum, like having there's like the idea that if you know the form of a code, it doesn't like still give itself up, you know what I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
like there's that
absolutely.
sort of thing. And I wanted to kind of like do that, like that was sort of the feeling. But yeah, that's a lot of Paul Muldoon stuff in that way is something that like galvanizes what I'm doing. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sorry, I'll
It's
continue.
super,
Yeah.
no, no, man, it's super fascinating. And I really, and the way that it's layered like that, right? The way that it's referential and it's like at play with like language itself really like gives it a wonderful kind of density and a wonderful, like, you can go over this and like try to decode it, but you're not really like decoding for like, it's not like taking a
Yeah, it's not
code.
academic. No,
It's,
no, like the academics, the like the academe, like sort of like total. It's entirely antipodian to like what qualia about poetry is, right?
yeah,
Like what like doing like writing like this is. It's kind of like you're communing with something, right?
yes,
Like
yeah, and
it's a
it's
communion.
visceral.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
feel the meaning before you get the meaning. And
You're not
that's like,
technically writing, you know, you're not like there are different ways to write
but
stuff and like different things to hit. Like, but when you're doing poetry, it's like you're very much not technically writing, even if you're writing technically, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
no,
Like,
exactly.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
not writing just for meaning. You're not writing just to like communicate substance. You're trying to evoke something. You're
yeah,
trying to like cultivate this like deeper connection with the work. And I think
yeah, yeah.
that, and so that like people, and some of my favorite poetry does this, right? Like you grok it before you understand it. Like, for example, like Eliot's The Wasteland is so rich and dense with references. But I remember reading that as a fucking college student for the first time, like 19, 18, 19
Yeah,
years old.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and I
bro.
still
Where
felt
are
it.
you?
Like I
Right,
felt
right.
it,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
No,
know any of it. Like I didn't know shit about like the like deep
Bupkis.
well of like Greek myth and fucking cultural references
Right, right.
drawn
How the
from. But I
stone, like
felt every
how that
line of
root
that
ball.
poem,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, that yeah, that's exactly. I think that's the best thing about good poetry, whether it is like frosty and like incisive or like or you know like more quote unquote esoteric, it's like you get that regardless, right?
Yeah, yes.
It's like
Yep.
the impact is always there, and I hope that I hope that things are. Oh, by the way, I before I forgot to mention the one picture, I don't know if it's going to show up in the in the video, but there was a spread done for encyclopedia.zone run by a guy named Don Jolly. Shout outs to Don Jolly if you're out there, my brother. I know you're out there. He ran a encyclopedia.zone for a while. There were like a couple of it's defunct now, unfortunately, but there were a couple guys, Container Core and Civ Wrecker. If you can find out where they are on the internet, they are fantastic visual artists, fantastic guys, like really great. They did the spread for the entire poetry shoot. It was super sick looking, and they hit the perfect thing for my stuff, which is like they basically just had the text on regular just white sheet paper, stuff I've done in my life where I've just like printed out stuff on regular paper, just put it on the wall, right? Like, and then like on like the graffiti, like it was so awesome. It was so great. So shout out to those guys. Love you guys. If you're out there in the free world kicking it, people, we've all
Awesome.
been spread to the four winds a little bit. But yeah, thank you so much. If I don't know if you wanted to keep, if there was something else you wanted to, or
No, no, no.
I can,
That's it, man. Thanks so much. Yeah, thank you for
yeah,
reading, and hopefully you'll come back in the future. We do this every
yeah.
week.
If you guys are open for me to do that, I'm super grateful. Yeah, again, tvchan.mo
Yep.
slash lit. And I guess my Substack, if you want to see more things like this, is tbcbtc.substack.com. If you want to read more poems like this, I'm trying to hit it full throttle. So yeah, come through and yeah, man. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
I love
no.
visit tourism. I love this. I'll let everybody else say their beautiful pieces and listen in peace myself. God bless.
All right. Thanks so much, man. And Rudy. Rudy's up next. Rudy.
Hey, yeah,
How's it
TBC,
going?
that shit was fucking amazing. Shout out to the meme reference and also the mud spud thing got me twisted up. That was really fucking cool, dude. That first set Desiderata. That man, that's good, dude. I don't know. I just when I read your submission to MT, my brain just exploded because it was so like William said, you feel it. I guess that's the thing. And is between that like cipher and like I asked William, I said, is this some like a cipher or is this like some kind of like I don't know. It was wild. It was wild, man. Um yeah, so I'm gonna read some dog shit poetry and then play a little video here. Let me see. Um I don't know. I'm not sure if this is even the right file that I linked to, but whatever. So let me make my post here. Yeah, so this one's called Crunch. It's inspired by actually some literature that was passed around at the Columbia protests. Um, kind of like basically what I'd describe as a schizophrenic mind map of Columbia's financial and socio-political ties, just passed around to people, and I thought that was pretty fucking cool. So yeah, this one's called Crunch. One time in Sirathungul, this big orc nigger was tearing a chicken apart and said in the black speech, This got too much crunch. Another orc said, I likes mine crunchy. And he was speaking African American vernacular English, or at least speaking for the black community. Let me speak for the black community. I hate reading. On Bird's site, there is discourse about divestment. I saw a chart describing the tangled-ass socio-political ties of Columbia University. It looked like Dungeons and Dragons rules look to people that aren't me. Need less crunch in my politics. Need less crunch, period. Need less politics, period. More mold vey, less mold bug. And if you zoom in on this picture to the right here, you'll see that it's actually a reconstruction of that picture in the top left, which is the original pamphlet as a D&D dungeon, which is the way it read initially to my mind because I could not grok it. Yeah, so this next one is called Pounding the Pavement. It's another, I guess, political theme one or whatever, or topical, we'll say. Pounding the Pavement. At the campus riot, people were erecting tents. Young college students with the means of production in their hands. I, an officer of public safety, was marching in to dismantle with haste an illegal occupation similar to the one in Palestine. But who cares about that? A young girl in protest regalia spit in my face. I swooned, then clobbered her with my baton. Imagined her fucking some swarthy college beau in their tent. Imagined myself as him, standing next to her warm body, standing up to genocide, standing under an umbrella with her like the British invasion song. Bus stop, bus go? Tears welling up. My coworkers were quick to break their ranks, Garen, tearing signs out of their hands and stomping on them. I wish it were the other way around. Me getting stomped on, possibly by this young Palestinian girl in her sporty Teva sandals that she came out of when we were dragging her away, that I didn't come on and smell while collecting her left behind belongings as evidence, though I'll admit I pitched a tent. Not the tent I also confiscated, but didn't take home or to my campsite where I sat alone, just me and nature with the scent of Palestinian liberation fresh in my nostrils. So that's the first one. Let me, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
Before I share this, I want to give a trigger warning. And this is actually a serious one. Like epilepsy, if you have epilepsy or whatever, like don't watch this because it has like glitch effects and all this stupid shit I put in it. So yeah, I don't know. Just like it's a serious warning. Like it might cause you to trigger epilepsy if you got it. And that is the only trigger warning I'll ever give. All right, so let me see if I can share, and then I'll pull this other shit up. Where the fuck is it? I want to share sound, optimize for video. Oh shit. How the fuck? Oh, they changed the screen share thing again. No. Basic. I want to share my screen. How the fuck do I do this? Hold on.
Technical difficulties.
Yep.
Too bad we don't have one of those screens to show up, like on public, throw up rather, like on
right.
public
Yeah, the little
TV or whatever. Like technical difficulties.
Okay, I think I've got it up here. I just have to rewind the video here.
Mhm.
Fucking thing. Okay. Okay, so I guess it'd be this one. Can you guys see that?
Indeed, I can.
Excellent. Okay, let me rewind this shit. Okay, here it goes, I
You
think.
might want to full screen it if you can.
Oh, good point. Let's see. Oh yeah, I can. Okay. Cool. Full screen. Let's ride. Old Gabe's a creepy crone who lives in the tower she built to get to heaven. Angels helped her build it.
Sorry, man. Sorry to interrupt,
Work.
but the volume is really low. You might want to,
Okay.
and I can see on the bottom there that the volume is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Here, I'll rewind it here. All right, here we go. Old Gabe's a creepy crone who lives in the tower she built to get to heaven. Angels helped her build it, but her witchery did most of the work. Old Gabe is the tower. I'm headed to R&R, which means trip through her innards. The elevator ride down the back end begins as a weightless euphoria. Floating, me, 3 sad boys, and 1 small retarded woman with a dysgenic, crooked grin who keeps headbanging like she's a fucking candy raver. Slam. We come to a screeching halt at floor 70 times 7. Our luck. Bored sad boys start putting eyeliner on each other. Black stuff from the special rations loot crate. Double take. Party badges. Eyes that say, "My dad has a villa, I'm an Abu Hajar." Triple take. Their eyes say nothing besides, "And I'm a black rainbow, and I'm an ape of God." Too much eyeliner. The retard breaks into song. Every Day by Buddy Holly. Giggling sad boys start applying black glue to her eyes with heavy fists, while the LED ceiling light flickers on and off. Each punch lands during periods of brief darkness. I know they connect from her shrieks. When the light's on, I make myself blink so that I don't see anything. Sometimes I have to keep my eyes shut for like 3 to 4 seconds to avoid glimpsing the wind-up, because the flickers change frequency. I'm apologizing to her in Morse code, I assure my imaginary conscience. She starts to stammer out some moron ambience, but eats the so-called words. The boys eat splashed blood. Itis, or blunt trauma, conks the others out, but I remain vigilant. The retarded woman is snoring. Dreams of chasing something? Chasing sentience? Do morons dream of retarded sheep? Something is banging on the top of the elevator, begging to be let in through the trapdoor. I open it. It's a Carhartt wearing facsimile of the retarded woman sleeping on the floor. Her utility headlamp blinks out, "Forgive you." That's it.
Holy fuck, man. Holy fuck. That whole so that last video was fucking phenomenal. And I recognize the image. That was like the picture of Old Gabe's Tower that you drew like a long time ago, right? For a different project.
Yeah.
But like
Yep.
I love the way
Oh,
you overlaid that with all the like different sound effects, the fucking sound of like the elevator doors open and closing, like the faint like music when you mentioned the Buddy Holly song, the fucking and like that mixed with like what I think was a very good choice on your part, which is like the more like monotonous delivery. The whole thing like conjured an incredible fucking mood, man. That's insane. That was fucking unfucking believable. Like the way that and the way that you took something that is like often comic or semi-comic in some of your other writing, like the whole presentation of like the world building elements there, right? The elements from your constructed world, and the way that you made them in this instance so ominous and so otherworldly, like in an insidious, scary, wonderful way, which makes perfect sense because that's like what you would be feeling as this child soldier or whoever who is ascending this tower, right? Who is being like ushered from one world to another, like literally, like for like people unfamiliar with your work, this is kind of a the tower you're describing is kind of like a similar to the Tower of Babel in that it like literally connects
Yeah.
heaven and earth. And the way that you, oh man, it's fucking phenomenal. Sorry, I think you were going to say something. Sorry.
Well, the thing there was the image. I had started to clean it up a little bit and twist some of it around with the help of some AI shit. And I've been working on it because the original one, it was really, I mean, it was obviously really large, like it's like a 40,000 height image or something like that. Like, it's really stupid. So I was trying to like put it into some kind of accessible format or a little bit more accessible than what it had been before, you know, where it was just a big scrolling thing, which I think is fine, but you know, not can't really, it's hard to communicate it to
Yeah.
people what's going on. So you know, it's that. I mean, in fact, most image places won't even let me dump that in there. So, but yeah, so that's what that is. I've been working on it lately and just thought I'd put it into a little thing. Yeah, but thanks.
Yeah, no, man, that's fucking that the way that like you combined all the elements together was really fucking effective. What did you use like Premiere Pro to edit that? Like I want to know how you edited that.
Oh well, so it was a bunch of a combination of things as usual. Most of the shit I do, like so, there's a little I wrote a JavaScript thing to make it so that the page would scroll downward, and I just basically filmed a web browser of it scrolling down because I
Like
read
a
the
screen
thing first.
recording.
Pretty much, yeah. And I read the thing first, and I was like, "This is about 2 minutes." So I, you know, had the JavaScript calculate how long it would take it to scroll down, and then I put it through Construct 3, and that's where I got the clouds and all those effects from, and the glitchiness, you know, the kind of glitch effects and that shit. And then I just bundle into a video.
Wow. Man, that is fucking amazing. I want to talk about the pounding the the pounding the pavement poem too, because I like I don't know, it as like a piece of like anti-political satire, a piece that like looks at a subject that a lot of people are very like passionate and politically engaged about. Man, this is a fucking ruthless piece because like I love the way you get inside the security guard's head and how like banal and ugly that is. And like how like and you get like deep in his like weird sexual fetishes and stuff and the way that like this thing that like if you viewed it on the news or whatever your news coverage regardless of your ideological lens you're going to see as being like culturally or socially important and like that has like this grandiose tenor in the way that it's presented in the news media you reduce it to like the basest fucking human urges in a really disarming and I think very funny way as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought of the foot fetish thing, and yeah,
just just wanted to write a foot fetish poem.
yeah.
All right, thank you, man. Thanks, man. And Keith is up next with something that I imagine is going to be very different from what Rudy just read.
That's an understatement. Well, I came in here loaded with several items and I've narrowed it down to 3 now. And I think I'm going to read off camera because I'm going to try to blow my screen up here and read either from paper or from the screen. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go back 4 years to 2020 and begin. And then we're going to go into a short story, a deep South, small town short story. And we're going to finish up with a piece on breaking into a new business. And kind of an evolution, and I continue to get ideas and learn about this craft. Tonight, it's certainly been no exception of learnings. The first one, I do need to give a disclaimer with this one. There's only 2 chapters in this. There's not going to be 10, 12, 13, or 14 chapters. There's only 2, and I'm going to read one tonight. It's titled Biographical Musings, possibly with some autofiction. The first writings, 6-ring notepad 3 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches, red mechanical pencil. Random thoughts, ideas, musings, poems, stories, etc., etc. Dedication to my families, postmortem, one exception. Chapter 1. I'm entering into a new phase, one of reflection, memories, visions. I will begin at the end when life began anew. I will purposefully define the beginning date as March 2020, a time that will live in infamy. I was destined to die. We all are, some sooner than others. Fate. I had to get my affairs in order. Arrangements had to be made. But death was not to be, not yet. The blooms came to life just as the leaves began to fall from the trees. It was an awakening, a life-changing event. September 5th, 2020. I entered into a new life, a transformation. We all transform, from babies to children to adolescents to young adults, and then forward through the years, each period defining the boundaries one will live within. Boundaries shifting like sand on the beaches of life. Where are we going? Who are we? Where did we come from? Why are we here? I lurked in the shadows of lives. The old self had died, the fog obscuring the trails ahead. I marched forward, unrhymed arrangements of words playing in my head, appearing on paper. Scribbled notes, words, phrases, some incomprehensible to this day. But they were there. They were real. They were alive. That's where everything will begin. I clean out my closets and find treasures, abstract compositions, journals, etc. I write, evidence scripted into the eternal ether, into the black holes of the universe. It's a really cool walk to the creek. The boardwalk carves its way through the hardwood swamp, teeming with flora and fauna. It's over 2 football fields in length, constructed over 30 years ago. Solid with marine grade lumber and treated pilings, 168 in all. I counted them. It could support a vehicle, and 3 years ago, when Hurricane Irma landed and the water rose, it was covered by over 5 feet of Black Creek. It was the first cancel culture event he's ever witnessed on Twitter between individuals that he knew. It was between 2 writers he had recently been following. He liked both of the writers' works, and from all indications, there was mutual respect and friendship between the writers before the tweet storm. He observed from the sidelines, and then it was over. The 2 writers, previously friends, canceled each other, and that was that. Over 45 years ago, I made a statement. It was short, to the point, and outwardly wrong. I knew it, and to this day am still ashamed for saying it. I wasn't canceled. I was counseled. I apologized and learned my lesson. The friendship wasn't lost. It was ultimately strengthened. Idealistic, unrealistic thinking? Maybe. But the question today versus 45 years ago is this. Is today's way of cancel culture really the way we should live? Does that solve the problem? I don't think so. Will I be canceled now? So one may ask, is that comparing like events? Is the egregiousness equal? Does it matter? Something to think about. How do we rationalize our actions? We are young, old, different, same, loving, hating. The debate, write what you know, write what you feel, write what it inspires. Is it really a debate? 30 pages in and I'm liking it. The voice, the humor, the style, at times even Henry Millerish, one of my favorite writers. 3 years ago, discovered Henry Miller via Anais Nin in her book, Henry in June. Commenced reading her writing, then Miller's, aiming for chronologically in his life. Sexus, Plexus, Nexus, Tropics, Cancer, Capricorn, Black Spring, Opus, Quiet Days, Air Conditioned Nightmare, Colossus, Big Sur, Book of Friends, and many more. 3+ years of study so far. Knew very little about Bibles, was intrigued with the expat shop blurb, bought into the concept, better face of fascism. Page 31, appropriateur. Got to Google that word. The problem with the civilized world today is not politics, religion, gun control, drugs, police brutality, climate change, joblessness, education system, social unrest, income inequality, hatred, violence. These are all symptoms exacerbated by the root cause, algorithms. Is that oversimplified, irrelevant, flawed reasoning? Algorithms are the root cause of many of the problems that we, as a first world society, face today. Combinations of ones and zeros quietly influence our thoughts and actions, brainwashing our minds and altering our character. That's the end of chapter 1. In my biographical musings, possibly with some autofiction. So the second piece is a very short story. It was inspired from a story in a book that Dan Eastman wrote, Watertown. Dan read back in the fall with the Back Patio Press book release night, or one of the get-together sessions with Back Patio. Dan's story inspired this story. It's called Igloos Melt in the Deep South. It's about a small town and some things that happen. The business is only a stone's throw away from the law, the police station, the jail, and the courthouse. But sometimes in small towns, laws are just considered words written on paper. They're enforced by looking the other way. It's a small mom and pop video rental business, one of 2 in the town. Everything rents for 2 nights on weekends. If it's above the counter on the racks, $1. Under and behind the checkout counter, $5. Friday afternoon, just after quitting time, offers the best selection. It's that time. You go in the front door and head straight towards the checkout. Jim sees you coming and reaches below the counter and retrieves the list. He knows exactly what you're looking for and what she wants. There are no secrets in this small town, and everybody knows everybody's business. You skim the uncensored list, thinking about which title is the most seductive, the one that will light the fires and keep them burning. You make the pick. Jim nods his head in agreement and smiles. As you hand him the $5 bill, you can feel the temperature in the room rising and your pulse racing. You know she's waiting for you, and it'll all begin in just a few minutes. Jim looks under the counter, finds your illegal movie, and gift wraps it in a brown paper bag. He laughs and says, $50 if it gets eaten up. Don't wear it out. You give him a big smile, small town bro code, and reply, I'll have it back before you close Sunday night. Jim grins back and says, if you're still alive. There's nothing you can say to that. You both know her. You both grew up in the igloo together, though it melted a long time ago. And the last piece is titled Breaking into Business. It's like catching a wave. The clink of the canister hits the floor. Great profit margins. Marketing a legal product. There's a honeybee tweaking out in the cabin. following the folds on the tinting on the window. Early 2000s, deterrent chemicals for abusers, degasser filtration devices, sickness, but the good outweighed the bad. It may be 5 degrees away from Kevin Bacon, but only 3 degrees away from a dentist. Grateful Dead rules, dude. The price is right. Rebranding cylinders, Mars, XL Whip, etc. Weed pens, nitrous cream chargers. Fact checked it on Reddit. Marketing plan. Trademarking tank. What the fuck? A vendor setting up for capitalizing nitrous culture. Yin and yang. Highly depersonalizing, disassociating, mental health crisis. ADHD, forgetfulness. Zen pouches are everywhere. Don't worry, I'm fine. The crime is improper handling, going around with legitimate business, hazmat product, cylinders. They're selling whippets and trademarking their product as Nitrous Mafia. What the fuck? Breaking Bad is an awesome show, and El Camino too. But one character had gained a lot of weight. Am I high? Have I taken edibles? Nitrous Mafia is absolutely a recreational term. Distribution company, selling lots of legal products, you know, a lot of legitimate small businesses, Nitro Stout, cold brew coffee, at home, fraction of the cost. Absolutely a need for American citizens to use this legitimately. Trace the business to a town in California. They're cornering the market. Shell companies everywhere. It's on Reddit. May have to dive into 4chan. There's a connection. Am I watching too much Breaking Bad? If I arbitrage this product for home biz, the distro company's been running 4 years, long time in this world. Guy in Florida set up the business, Marco Island, dead end. Keep digging. Naples, Florida. Keep digging. Nitrous vendors are violent. Gotta go. Catch you later. Hey, before you go, let me read you what I've been transcribing. I wrote a story while you're talking, parenthetical. He reads the transcript of the one-sided conversation aloud. Oh, fuck, man, that's awesome. I love it. I'll keep you posted. Later, dude.
Keith, those were wonderful. I love how much range you have as a writer. Like you just read 3 pieces that were completely and profoundly different. And all of them were effective. You know, I really dig the last one, the like one-sided conversation about about nitrous oxide and drugs and stuff, and how like I it's just wild to hear that after the piece beforehand, right? Like you have this like the final piece you read is this extremely like colloquial kind of like like monologue piece, right? It's a one-sided conversation. Whereas the second piece you read is this like has this like wonderful like homey atmosphere to it. And like Rudy said something in the chat about like he says this description of VHS and rentals is wholesome as fuck. And then he says that good juxtaposition. And I really completely agree with that. I love like how wholesome you made like the act of renting like brown bag pornography. Steve.
$5 was a lot of money back in those days too.
like the as Rudy said, like the juxtaposition there is wonderful, and it gives the piece like this great comic energy because it's like you have that like small town Mulberry vibe to it where everyone knows everyone else, and like and you work your way up to it, right? Like you spend plenty of time establishing like that small town vibe before you get to like what the guy is actually buying, what the guy is actually renting. And like when that and you like and you like segue into that without like ever winking or nodding or treating it like a twist, right? Like you just arrive there, the tone remains the same, and it's so effective. It's so funny, and it's such a great contrast. And the first piece, the memoir piece, what I really love about that, and I feel like you've read some pieces in that vein before. What I really love is your absolute unwillingness to compartmentalize there, especially where like internet shit is concerned. Like a lot of writers are like internet writers. Like they write as if the internet, as if social media is the only thing that exists, and as if that's like a whole world in and of itself, like it's like a petri dish or a hermetically sealed universe. And you have a lot of writers who like don't even fucking know what email is, like write as if the internet doesn't exist, or as if it's a as if like the real world, a computer is just something someone sits down at to do work or something. Like one of their characters will sit down at the computer to type his novel or whatever. And your unwillingness to fall into either of those molds, your willingness to like set Twitter drama right next to Trip into the Swamp, right next to like stuff that's going on in the news, stuff that's going on in your personal life, your willingness to let that all coexist in this kind of uncomfortable but comprehensive way, I think it makes it really effective. And it kind of makes you question the significance of some of the fucking Twitter drama shit without you flat out saying this is insignificant. You don't treat it as if it's not at all like part of the life. Anyway, it's great. It's good shit, Keith.
Thank you,
Thank you
William. I
so
really
much.
appreciate those remarks. Thanks a lot. That biographical piece, what I had was actually before I started writing any stories. You all know I wrote short poems for a year and a half before I even started writing a story. But at the same time, I was keeping all these notes and going through everything, and I was just looking back over what I had and decided, well, I'll just try to make a piece out of the whole thing and put it all together. And those are they're almost chronologically as things unfolded. I mean, a lot of these events were events that we went through with Misery Loves Company on Friday nights and different things as things unfolded. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for the comments.
Yeah.
I'll scroll through them all. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Keith. Yeah, we're on year 4 now, or I guess as of July, we'll be on year 4. It feels like we've been doing this for an eternity, and it literally feels like fucking yesterday. I know that's a cliche, but that's how it feels. It really does. You hear people say that, oh, it feels like it was yesterday, and it feels like an eternity at the same time. And a lot of times you're like, bullshit, you just don't know what to say. But there really is how it feels with Misery Loves Company. I cannot fucking fathom that we've been doing it for multiple years. And also, like, I can't remember a time before when we were doing it, but that might just be like the clinical depression, learned helplessness talking. Anyway, Colton, you're up next. Hopefully we didn't catch him in the middle of a pinball match.
No. Actually,
I think you're experiencing some
Yeah.
technical difficulties, Colton. You're breaking up a bit.
God damn it.
Oh, I heard
Can you hear me
that
now?
clearly. Oh, I don't know. The only thing I heard clearly was "God damn it." Colton, do you want me to skip you and double back, maybe? That is, I think, what I'm going to do. Colton, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Derek, and then I'll double back and we'll see if your service has improved. So next up, Derek. Derek Main, my man, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm alive.
How am I coming through here tonight?
Perfectly.
Perfectly. That's excellent. I got a statement I have to read first, and then I'm going to read wartime author. I'm going to give everybody an update on the war. The piece I'm going to read tonight's called Cusp of Spring. It's part of wartime.
I
author.
didn't remember the video. I have 6 in front of my kids.
Yeah, in front of your canes. And so, but just to address one aspect, I just had it, and of course now I don't. And Colton's thing. So look at all this like dead air. Like, oh my God, never gonna find it. Okay. I have a new editor. He's only interested in me because of the rumors of a Blake Lee. And I'm saying this beginning intro because I will share my screen for a quick video at the end of this. It's a very short wartime author thing. I have a new editor. He is only interested in me because of the rumors of a Blake Lee handwritten manuscript in my possession, and he agrees to correct the run-on sentences and racial slurs, quickly filling the scraps of my unknown, unwanted reportage. He is a kind, gentle soul, constantly picking scraps of fish sticks from his beard. There are half-truths and full-on lies promulgating the pages of this war, and my editor insists I account for my semantic sins. All right, so that's my... I'm going to read Cusp of, well, this is a little bit of spring in the war. And at the end, hopefully I'm going to remember to share my screen for the video. So this has a epigraph, epitaph. I would tell you that I loved you if I thought that you would stay, but I know it's no use and you've already gone away. Robert James Smith. I was so busy covering the war, I didn't see it coming. I'm wearing a blazer with elbow patches and my life is falling apart. Boys don't cry on the car stereo, top down, speeding down the outer belt line beneath stars and space junk, crumpled up manifesto blowing around in the back seat next to you, there's nothing. The museum director, for one, I cannot get a hold of. He works for the publicist, of course. Her hands were all over this thing from the beginning. She set me up with Elliot to find Blake. That was 2 summers ago. How did this all happen so goddamn suddenly? The lawyer for the state is not answering my calls, texts, and hasn't matched with a single one of my catfish accounts on Hinge. He's up to something, more than likely. Where's my goddamn ink? The pens in this place are pathetic, plastic chopsticks, practically. My notebooks are out of order or missing in the trunk. I rented a Kia, regrettably. I wasn't thinking. The shirt tucked in, man, shiny, greasy hair sweating through the undershirt and light to medium starch Van Heusen asked me if I had a preference, and like an asshole, I said no. Now I'm driving a Kia and staying at Hampton Inns. Now I'm losing my shit live on television. Shep once tried to claim I sold whores of Porta Plata to Netflix for a sum. I've never had more than 500 readers. My God, can you imagine wanting more? What would you even do with all of them? Where would you put them? And what then? No one can agree on anything. You'd let them all down. You would just have to. To be any goddamn good at it, you would just have to disappoint them every time, break their hearts. Some far right-wing elements have entered the literary arts because it costs less than 2 large pizzas, 2 toppings delivered with tip to benefact a writer. A poet? My God, they can't give them away. The most famous poet alive right now is an incredibly boring political tool with the cadence of another century, and a dead one at that. A failed one. There, I said it. A failed century. Building the bomb destroyed us. The anxiety of it could come at any time. The knowledge we'd done it to ourselves, that we built our undoing, and to live with that. We are in the living with that now and have been for as long as I have been alive. Soon it will be a century since. And we wonder what's left for us if we make it. I'm late, I'm afraid. I must order club soda from Jerry's and have it delivered. At Seward Farm on Abbotter Common, in the Surrey Hills, Bertrand Russell took Vivian Wood Elliott as his lover. It was a brief affair. T.S. Eliot was in the city, working his corporate banking job. It was a brief affair. T.S. Eliot was prone to depression. He worked to give his mind something to do. It alleviated his nervousness. It was good for a man of his nervous disposition. I think that might be exactly how he put it, or how I will call it just now anyway. Ezra Pound had encouraged Vivian to marry T.S. as a way to keep T.S. in London, by all accounts. It was a brief affair. She was considered vulgar, deemed insane, died in the mental hospital where she spent the last 9 years of her life. T.S. Eliot separated from her in February 1933. It was a brief affair. Most of the things I know about T.S. Eliot are from the excellent book The Wasteland, biography of a poem by Matthew Hollis. Most of the things I know I read somewhere. I spend my days reading somewhere. It did keep coming through, the absolute avalanche of pain, jealousy, fury, and loss. It was a brief affair. March 16th, 2024. Cecilia Ann by the Pixies, full volume. It was bright, hot, teetering. My man in the State House was buried under piles of newspapers from the late 70s in his art dungeon, painting black lips on thousands of clowns' faces. The Courier had a DJ set at Orchid. His girlfriend was smuggling lion's mane out of Mexico. It was spring. The war was elsewhere. Our novels were ending unceremoniously. Valoria by the Pixies breaks the back right speaker. My fist smashes through this century and back into the last, my knuckle meat mixing with shards in memory. The Publicist was high, probably, in a Lower East Side loft. Blake Lee found another island. I am still here waiting for surrender. The cicadas are coming soon. The 13-year and 16-year cycles are converging. A swarm awaits the mid-Atlantic. My man in the State House shares certain information with me, specific documents. Blake Lee has possibly reappeared, except this time there is no beard, no hitchhiking to Las Vegas with a much younger woman, no steel meal or salt flats, no bookshop printer upstairs in Portland, Oregon to pilfer roughly stapled copies of The Whores of Puerto Plata, no Caribbean island hiding out from Netflix or The Publicist or New York and its parties, no hiding from the computers and denying cyber writing ever existed, but instead creating multiverses of artificial intelligence art and NFTs, generative enhanced images and sparse text, codes and ciphers a la Cicada 3301, from which he claimed once, I might add, he was a graduate. Russians are pouring dye into ballot boxes and setting small fires. Police are rounding up protesters and sending them to Siberia. A tension is in the air. He's back, whispered at Clando. March 17th, 2024. A stolen car crashes into a vape shop on South Wilmington Street in broad daylight. Headed to DC this week, avoiding the museum director. I can't think here of the Publicist, and now that's all he will discuss, I'm certain. I haven't even fleshed out their connection yet in my mind. I come to DC to inspect certain documents at an embassy. I'll be meeting my lawyer, a land use attorney and serious pill popper with at least a rate I can afford. He's married to his third paralegal and has the body and mind of Ignatius Riley and a modern century's nightmare of a corporate sweatsuit standard issue. He loves the Nationals and hot dogs and baseball in general and beer. He has a kind smile, cool blue eyes, and charges $450 an hour in the capital city of the decaying empire, which is next to nothing, of course. March 19th, 2024. Jared Kushner is looking into waterfront real estate opportunities in Gaza. March 20th, 2024. I zoomed in on Memphis tonight to catch a friend win a pinball tournament, a fellow cyber writer. He was elated, out of his mind ecstatic. I felt such joy radiating from him, like watching a man at the height of his powers. En route to meet the land use attorney in DC, seeing the sleepy mid-Atlantic go by from the dining car, a whole region waiting on a storm of cicadas, begging for government intervention. I do not have time this morning or afternoon to shuffle through their towns and proclaim a vision. The small children fanning their palms, awaiting a session and certain surrender. I do not have the energy to complete certain missions. There is a pall over my mood and those of my fellow passengers, all of us itching with the certainty that we simply must be headed somewhere, anywhere at all, to seek answers. The many private pilgrimages we embark on next to each other. March 22nd, 2024. I am in possession of the documents. I laid a flower at the Israeli embassy in honor of Aaron Bushnell's sacrifice. The land use attorney was drunk, belligerent, unhelpful. I think he's going to be an excellent addition to my team. The cherry blossoms are out, wild colors sprouting everywhere. Soldiers training in Rock Creek Park. A self-proclaimed four-star general bums a cigarette next to me at Union Station and tells me about his night sleeping outside by the George Washington Bridge, his polyamory, the 5G that gave his daughter seizures, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, signs and symbols and telepathic big tech advertising, a better way to gut health than the Freemasons, naturally. A Capitol police officer tells the 4-star general to move off the curb and stop bothering and begging the arriving passengers. He's known around here. He leads an army of one. I was born for this, he confides in me before moving on to secure Lafayette Park. We all were, Carl. I leave him with 2 Marlboro Golds in his war. All right, I'm done.
So we're getting avant-garde as fuck tonight, aren't we? Aren't we? Everyone decided to bring their most deconstructive shit. Everyone wants to do a multimedia presentation. I love it. I love it. Man, Derek, first of all, like that was Zach, right? That was Zach Smith at the end.
Yeah,
No?
that's yeah.
The
That's
editor, the editor.
That's the editor. What the fuck am I paying him for?
I
These are the reports on the war I'm getting. And people were like, why isn't it done? Why isn't it over?
I I love that video from Zach. He seems so sad. It's like it's so mundane, but there's such a deep sadness to Zach's delivery. Anyway, Derek, I want to talk about this wartime author chapter because this is fucking phenomenal. And it's doing something I think really interesting, which like you've read several pieces from wartime author before, and those pieces felt like they didn't like they felt like kind of like they were at a simmer, right? Like there's this like pervasive atmosphere to them, this sense of this thing being like recursive and being like trapped within the like ungrockable framework of like the many wars, both personal and international, right? But this piece has like achieved escape velocity. Like it's it's like that like low simmer has broken and this is full boil, right? Like this piece is so fucking propulsive and has such a tremendous sense of direction even while it's still fragmentary, right? Even while you're still like reconciling the personal with the political, the like your the like conceit of your narrator and his book and everything with like the actual like documentary and reality nature of some of the shit, like all of the different pieces that have been part of this work before are present here, but it is so much more propulsive in this. Like this feels climatic, this feels like what you've been building up to, like just the sense of like this being a true moment of crisis in the midst, excuse me, of all these previous moments of like anticipated crisis or crisis somewhere else. It's like it's fucking gorgeously written, and there are some impeccable fucking lines here too. Some that are very funny, like the like racial slur thing at the beginning next to the typo thing, like typographic errors and racial slurs or whatever whatever it actually was. But also, man, the fucking stars and space junk line is fucking gorgeous, man, and it really gets like it's such an essential description that's so perfectly emblematic of your work. Like there's this like sense of like cosmic beauty and also like just like senseless cosmic noise and debris like in conflict with each other at the same time. There are so many great individual lines here. This is gorgeously written, man. And I think my
Thank you.
favorite of all the wartime author pieces you've read so far.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. It's Dior. Anyway, it's Dior, and only my kids can smell it, which is weird. Thank you. The space junk thing, there's more space junk right now than ever. It's insane how much trash we've just put into space. And then thank you very much is the other thing.
Thank you, Derek. Thanks. Colton, how are we doing, Colton? Are we here? Are we not? Oh, wait.
Can you hear me?
Somewhat. Say some more. Uh-oh.
And-
Can you guys hear Derek? Derek, can you guys hear Colton? Or oh, nope.
Hello,
Can you guys
1, 2,
hear me?
test.
I hear Colton a little bit. I heard that test.
Okay. You know what, Colton? Well, let's try again, and we'll see. That's not promising. Um, Colton, I think, and I'm seeing like your network bandwidth is low. You know what I'm gonna do, Colton? I'm gonna move you to the end of the night and we'll give you a shot. We've got a couple more people before then. So maybe by then you'll be in a place where you've got service. Sorry, Colton. John, it's out of necessity. I'm not bumping Colton. We're trying our best here, John. Um, so up next is Jan, but as usual, Jan won't be reading for himself. I feel like Rudy, are you feeling something? Are you feeling like you're being warged into right now? Are you losing control of your bodily functions?
I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. So I'm gonna read a piece if I can pull it up here. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's oh good. Okay, gotcha. I got your link, Jan. Sorry, I'm on my phone, like moving around here. This okay, there, I see. Hold on, this phone is shit. All kinds of technical difficulties here. Let's see. This piece has a title as long as shit, and I can't make out the whole title on my phone because it's too goddamn long. Let me see here.
Do you want me to read the title? I can read the title.
Please do that, yeah.
National Aeronautics and Space Administration report to President Logan Paul.
Whoa! All right, I'm feeling the warg then. Here it comes. Year is 2061. Deep Space Survey vessel Michael Aquino's crew are sending increasingly erratic transmission to ground control. It has become more and more clear with each electronic missive time lag of 83 minutes that engineer Carlisle has somehow built a meth lab aboard the Michael Aquino. Ground control is concerned. The Aquino is a 6-deck shitbox, underfunded, overcrowded, and as the transmissions come in, ever more wired. Ground control gets a grainy video of Commander Vandermeer reeling meth from the feed tube inside his pressure suit helmet, the microphone on his communications cap picking up horrible pig grunting and snorting. You can see Saturn's Van Allen belt, the grains, and Ganymede, a dim dark speck hurling across an infinite horizon. God damn, screams Commander Vandermeer. God damn, I can see the universe. When you're on meth, anything goes. Horrified ground control listens as Commander Vandermeer returns from extravehicular activity to engage in astronaut chemsex orgy with engineer Carlisle, pilot Franklin, astronavigator Michels, engineer Lopez, and mission specialists Horthy, Bizovsky, and Ingbor. Please don't fuck in the command module, sweats ground control. There's sensitive equipment in there. I got some sensitive equipment for you, screams Horthy, and then unidentifiable collections of grunts that upon later analysis are simultaneously Lopez and Franklin, both of whom are married. Fuck, 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 ground control thinks. This is another Challenger. This is Columbia Part 2. Fuck me. Fuck me. In the command module, an indistinct blur of cock and ass, and as ordered by NASA law and congressional inquiry, vagina. There is in every ass vagina a cock. Every surface is being fucked, from barometers and the pipes for the life support system to the ship's computer. Bill 3000. Ingbor shits. Bizovsky's cock still an ass, and in free fall shit liquid dripping floats through the air up towards the recycling vent. I am shit, screams Vandermeer. We are breathing in shit, notes Lopez, reeling pig-like, a gently swaying cloud of meth from the open air. Mission control, screams Vandermeer. Mission control. 83 minutes of fucking, sucking every hole. And Vandermeer thinks now at the sentimental phase of a meth high, soon approaching deep seat tin box paranoia hole. Such an unromantic word. Orifice. I prefer orifice. 83 minutes before ground control can reply. Yes, Commander Vandermeer? Another 83 minutes of sweating shit stink. We're fucked. Fully fucked. Sweat drips. It's hot. The life support system it's hot. The life support system failing. Time to fuck Jupiter, says Franklin. No, says Carlyle. Pick a moon. Galilean only. Io, Ganymede, Europa, Callisto. 4 choices. Oh, Io. I'm sorry, Io. Yeah, I think it's Io. I don't know. No, the ship's a cock. Time to fuck the universe. And then it's a snap Delta 5 equation into lower orbit. Then torn apart by clouds of freezing death gas, helium-3. No survivors. According to the official report, the Michael Aquino was blown to fucking smithereens by a Chinese spaceship. World War IV. No survivors. According to the official report, everybody fucking died. The end.
The end indeed. So first of all, thank you, Rudy, for once again offering your body as a vessel. And holy shit. And thanks to Jan for writing that. So I want if anyone like was just listening to Rudy read and didn't open up the Google Doc, I urge you to go and open the Google Doc and look at the masterful work of formatting that Jan did here. Like I am Jesus Christ. I am consistently in awe. Just for people who like arrived here and anyone like in the last few minutes and anyone like watching the video, prior to actually recording Misery Loves Company, so like an hour and a half ago, Jan was like, should I write something? And we were like, yeah, Jan, write something. Like, we don't have that many readers tonight. And there was a conversation about deep space chemsex, and Jan was like, I'm going to write about deep space chemsex. So this whole thing was written certainly in less than an hour, probably in substantially less than an hour. And not only written, but formatted in this incredible fucking way. Including the like ASCII Saturn or Jupiter rather at the bottom. No, I think is that Saturn or Jupiter? That's Saturn, right? Anyway, including the ASCII.
Oh yeah, I think it's Saturn. It's got rings or
including the
whatever.
ASCII planet at the bottom. So anyway, just the fact that this was produced so quickly and edited with such panache is amazing in and of itself. But this is fucking hilarious. This is so like this is so funny because it runs so completely contrary to every expectation we have for like NASA punk fiction. You know, where everyone's like a hardened professional and they're all ready to go into space and be a hero, and it's all about like the nitty-gritty technical details. Instead, it's like railing lines of meth in fucking space. Oh God. And the like complete like hilarious way that it unravels, like the totally slapstick. Like, yeah, we're just gonna fly this giant dick of a rocket into the planet and that's it. I don't know, it's beautiful. Yeah, sorry, Rudy.
I I think this is very much in the tradition of science fiction like Solaris, or even like like Space Madness sci-fi like Event Horizon, or Sunshine, where people just go nuts and yeah, and do like their most impulsive behaviors and shit in the rocket. So like this is
And I
literally, yeah,
love
it's
that there's
literally that.
like not like a goofy pretense here. Like it's not like they encounter some psychic alien entity that drives them mad. It's like, no,
Yeah.
they were stuck alone in space and they started doing math. What the fuck's gonna happen? You know?
We're better to do meth than in space, though. I think that's one of the things.
Even the concept of like a meth lab in space is just like what's the most like volatile, like bad fucking idea you can imagine? It's like, well, take something that periodically like burns people's like single wide trailers down and put it in a and put it inside a spaceship. Oh God, I don't know. It's hilarious. Anyway, thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Jan. And Keko. Keko is up next. So Keko wanted to read, and he sent me a link, and I thought it was going to be a link to his poems, but instead it was just a screenshot from the Little Shop of Horrors. So the movie with the man-eating plant. So I'm not sure if he's reading a poem about that or if he sent me the wrong link. We'll find out.
Oh, here's the link. I'm going to read two lousy poems, and sorry about that. Yeah. So, I sent a link to the link is in the
Yep, it
chat.
works.
So
It
yeah,
works.
yeah, okay. So, the first one is I flipped the board in a moment of half a gluttony while I was losing crucial figures. I'm so sorry. Please, let me get back into the yearning beliefs game. I don't care whether I'm second or second to last. I understand I can't be first, having used all my special cards. I understand that, I promise. I won't let my hope of getting a new one from the deck turn into an act of aggression. I just want to enjoy the game with you guys. Come on, I won't demean your interpretation of the rules. I'm the idiot. There, I admit. And I definitely won't question the specialness of your special cards. Look at mine, haha. They don't help me much. What can I do to get you to let me sweat yet again over the possibilities of the yearning beliefs long game? And the second one is frustration, c'est moi. Why do I still feel the everlasting cold? Can't it ever last somewhere else? Really makes no sense that I can't even romanticize this mess. I'm going to kill us both. Some dumb demon keeps this on repeat. I feel so stupid and online. I'm not even that online by Western standards. I'm stupid by any standard. I can't bind two thoughts together. Can't even form a squad of thoughts, let alone a platoon. I'm playing worse than Hajduk. I'm online like a girl from the early aughts, all alone and wrapped with pimples of wrath. I hate you, no more than I hate myself. ISIS, be my Jesus. Grave, be my grain. Brain, like a 13-year-old cock, with no parents home, you're drained, all alone. That's it.
Keko, I fucking love these. I love the first poem. So The first poem, and I can almost feel Rudy like waiting to say something about the first poem. I love the idea of taking the dude. Like, there's always one dude in every tabletop game, every card game, every time you sit
Yeah.
down with friends who like loses his shit and gets thrown out of the game, right? And the way that you take that concept, that like fairly universal experience, and turn it into this like bleak existential meditation, right? Like it's like, yeah, I understand I fucked my life up because I couldn't handle it. Like I keep throwing hissy fits and like I feel like I've been locked out from life. But like like life, like maybe we could try this one more time. Maybe we could try hoping for something just once. Like I know I fucked up in the past. I know you guys won't let me play with you anymore, but like could you give me just like one little like molecule of hope, maybe? Like like maybe just give me one more shot at not blowing my brains out. And it's beautiful. Like it's fucking wonderful. It's fucking wonderful. That second poem is like big fucking mood right now. It is because like it gets at the like despair of being of not just being online, but of being like depressed and enervated and feeling like all the life has been sucked out on you of you and all you can be is online. And and I love the way that like there's a refusal there to even let it be like a poem. Like whenever it starts to like inch towards the profound, you're like, fuck it. Like, no, I'm not even worthy of this. Like you get at that like deep strain of learned helplessness and I think a really effective way and like the way like and this like psychological warping effect it has like the way you get so low that you get like these juxtapositions like Isis be my Jesus, grave be my gain. Like the idea that like you were so low that the only good things are bad things, right? Like that only death or terrorism could possibly cheer you up. And that's like it's a real way I have been that low, you know? Like that's like the kind of low where I don't think this subreddit even exists anymore, but that's like being suicidal and like being on our watch people die, right? And looking at the Russian dash cam videos or whatever. Anyway, man, these are both really fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so I believe Colton is last up tonight. Colton, let's give this one more try. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Holy shit.
Perfectly.
Yes.
Perfectly.
Shit. You know what's so fucking stupid? I was in my bedroom, didn't work. I went into my kitchen, it didn't work. Now I'm on my fucking porch of all places.
Maybe you're picking up somebody else's Wi-Fi.
I think that's what's happening. It's weird. Like I was stealing Wi-Fi for the longest time, and then it just suddenly went away, and now I have Family Xfinity, which is asshole. So I don't know. I'm just in a dead Xfinity spot. It's what it is.
Well,
Now I'm on
fingers
my porch,
crossed.
and you can
Let's
probably
see
hear
this.
those ambulances and shit. Can you hear that?
Sounds like you're on a rooftop.
Oh, well.
I love it.
It's a right, but I'm like literally, I can see that. I don't know. I'm on a first floor. It's stupid. Okay, so there's. I was writing this piece. Fucking Friday in Memphis. Jesus Christ. I wrote this piece.
Oh no. You
There
just
we go.
you just started breaking.
Okay.
Okay.
We're still good.
We're good now. We're good now. Good, good. Okay. Let's see if we can
Perfect.
get
I'm
through
gonna
this.
fucking okay. Let's get through this shit. So I was thinking about this quote that one of my old sous chefs used to tell me because like service was always a fuck mess and perfection was just stupid. And so I went with the title, but this is just like a notes app thing that I wrote up. Yeah, it's called "Perfection is the Enemy of Goddamn Good Enough." To what ends will I stay convinced that my mask should stay on? Temporary cartoon character tattoo, lemon and cherry shakes with some barbecue, a tiny shark fin cupcake topper inside red icing. Thank you for your business. I see your blazing rings of fire. Don't mind my curtains. I've got my own kind of spiral. Predator 2, bacon and garlic fries. Belt and a shirt on an orange bench. Hey, look, a free belt. Push door to open. Bell chime. Walk inside. Hey, Bert, you see the free belt outside? Yeah, I saw it. Some naked man who thinks nobody can see him is running around getting chased by a bunch of cops down the street. You just missed it. When you're untying your shoe and you pull out those loose strings to undo the knot, but you pull at the same time and accidentally create the mega knot, and it's such a bitch to unravel. Like, fuck me, dude. I mean, you have to really dig your bare fingernails into the Hydra bundle and fucking pray because those crevices are cinched, dude. And I realize it is in those moments of wasted time, all I can really say is, fuck. Fuck my life for real. When I was transitioning from inpatient care to outpatient group therapy, I met this big blindside looking black dude. I think his name was Brandon. He was very quiet, not shy, just didn't want to talk. He didn't want to fuck with group therapy. And when I recall the kind of white people he was around, I don't blame him. It was a common occurrence that during our sessions, he would just never participate and never talk. But one afternoon, while we were having a break from classroom testing, I was doing some impressions of Hank Hill, and the black dude actually kind of laughed. He laughed the more Texan my accent inflected. He eventually spoke to me, telling me, "Yo, do the Hank Hill voice." Watching a kid learn how to ride a bike on the 9th floor of a mixed purpose living facility. Model 24 style, German, style Handgranat potato mashers, defused Mark II frag pineapples, an unused floor cleaning factory cat. We talked of transparent pain, rapid flaccid sadness, a caged stunt cock and reserved command to your replies, your buzzes, your tweets, the movement of your bent thumbs, the tunnel of darkness between our open lips. Monsieur Herve, I don't know if it's Herve or Hervé. This is the, anyway. Monsieur Hervé, you may want to come look at this. It is January of 2007. An assistant comes into the room of retired composer and musician Hervé Roy. Hervé was finishing up some overdue practice when he heard that one of his songs had gone viral on the internet. He asked the nurse to show him what he was talking about. The video you are about to see, it is shocking. I don't care. I'm curious. Show me the video. Monsieur Roy hears Lover's Theme playing from the speakers of his assistant's black Lenovo ThinkPad laptop. His heart flutters. He is broken into the constant social media of the new age. But what he was not prepared to see on screen were the two Brazilian actresses stripping naked. Monsieur Roy thinks that he will see a performance of love, but then one woman starts to take a shit into the opposing performer's mouth. She accepts the shit, eyes still dazed with lust. Then that performer, mouth-filled, leans her head to puke shit into the mouth of the performer who shit into her mouth. This process repeats and lasts for 62 whole minutes. Hervé watched the entire video, witnessing every drop of shit and gurgle of vomit pass through the orifice of the two performers. Months passed, with Mr. Roy gradually declining in health. 2 years later, in January of 2009, after having lived a long and beautiful life, Hervé Roy passed away in Paris, France. Thrown into a holding cell for my first DUI, age 15. They made me walk a straight line test on asphalt, and I didn't have my glasses. So I failed and spent the night with another woman who, she swears on her life, saw a UFO fly across the sky, which made her drive 80 miles per hour and blow twice the legal limit. And that's it.
Oh my God, Colton. That was fucking awesome, man. Oh, but the Hervé Roy part fucking slew me. And I love the way that you framed that, right? Like the slow build up to the reveal. And then you don't just end with him like watching this like horrific pornographic performance in his nursing home or in his, in his old age. But instead, like you move on from there and you get to like his like beautiful death as an old man having lived a ripe long life. And I love that. And I love that, like the way this is framed as this like pivotal moment in the life of this like great artist, right? Like this is his kind of his breakout moment, and it's so like fucked. But it's not all there is, you know? Um, and I absolutely, oh man, the inpatient care, the Hank Hill section is so good. It's so sweet, like. And it's another case where like the expectations are built up for it to be one thing. Like you think this is going to be like one of the most depressing, sections of this prose poem, but instead it's like one of the most sweet and uplifting. The idea that this guy like was brought out of his shell to some degree by this goofy Hank Hill impression. It's so good. It's so good. I just want to say one more thing here about the fucking untying your knot, the knot in the shoelace stanza, excuse me. Man, that is so like that's fucking life. That's how I feel every fucking day, right? Like the presence of this fucking knot that you just cannot untie, and the way, and when you go about trying to untie it, somehow you inexplicably, excuse me, make it more knotted, make it like more complex and more daunting. And the way that piece builds to become this like great, like frustrating existential crisis, like it becomes more than just this moment of deep, like mundane annoyance and becomes like this like life or death crisis, which is what happens in moments like that, because it becomes more than it is. Like it becomes, as I said, like emblematic of like the whole shitty struggle of life. It's just, I don't know, these are beautiful, man, as usual.
Thank you. I recently read Jeff Schneider's book, Therapist Gone Wild, and it made me reflect because like that black dude is real. I don't know what his fucking name is, but he was just this big old black dude and he would never talk. And I did a stupid Hank Hill impression at the time, and that the first interaction I ever had with him was he was like, "Can you do that voice again? That was real funny." Like, it was like I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it." But like just like I've stopped reading or stopped writing for a minute and started reading, and just like it's nice to like read a friend's book and you're like, damn, I've been through that shit, I know exactly what's going on, and to like think back to moments that I wouldn't really think about. And so like, I mean, that composer, he put his heart and soul into that song. And so like, just imagine like the first time you see that video, you're like, oh, and like there's a section of the Two Girls One Cup Wikipedia that tells you about certain celebrities watching the video, and like Ace Frehley from Kiss watched it and he was like, I've seen worse. You're like, what the fuck? So like there's this like just there's such a funny generational cultural shift moment with that video. And for him, like, because if you look up Herv Roy online, you don't find much. His Wikipedia is very bare. And so it's just this one moment of this dude's life, and he just happened to be involved with the most insane shit, vomit, fetish porn ever. And so yeah, I wanted to relate that to other stuff, and the usual the images of war, like the grenades being like related to food, like potato mashers, I thought was interesting. And yeah, I don't know. There's no piece is ever perfect, and so I wanted this piece to just be like weird as hell. Just it's a goddamn good enough piece, is what it is.
No, it's great. It's great. And it like no, the Hervé Roy thing is just, that's absolutely genius. Like that is a real stroke of genius there, because you don't think like all of those moments, those like ghastly viral moments, especially from that like part of history, the late 2000s and early 2010s when the internet was still just like disgusting and unhinged. You don't think about like the technical like background details of like what song was playing in the background and like how did that guy feel? It's really fucking ingenious.
You never know what's gonna happen to your art, and so there's almost kind of some comfort in that fact, where like maybe someday a person will look at my writing and quote me in his book, and his book will be like just like fucking animal fetish, like gore shit with pictures. Like, and you know what? I can tell people that I inspired the next great vor artist of the 2040s. Like,
Hell yeah.
I'm here for it.
All it
Here,
you
here.
know,
Thank
what
you.
more can you aspire to? Really, really. Like to be
At this
remembered
point, like,
somehow.
I will fucking take it. Whatever makes me, when you search my name online, not go to like the blackmail shit. Like, I will take any W at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you, Colton. And thank goodness that like
Thank
you
you.
actually fucking got your internet working there just in time.
Cyber Christ wins again.
Yeah. All right, guys. And that's fucking it. So this has been Misery Loves Company. We do this every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. If you'd like to join us, if you'd like to come and read your work or just come and hang out, you're welcome to do so. We tweet out the link, the Zoom link right before we begin from our Twitter account at Misery Tourism, all one word. And thank you to everyone who read tonight. Thank you to TBC. Thank you to Rudy. Thank you to Keith, to Derek, to Jan, to Rudy once again for lending his body to Jan. Thank you to Keko and thank you to Colton. It's been another great night, guys. Yeah. Thanks so much. See you next week. Oh, except I can't figure out how to stop the recording. Oh.